You all today to our doctoral webinar. Thank you so much for taking the opportunity to join us. Whether you are actively considering a doctoral studies or simply just exploring your options, we are delighted to have you with us this morning. So today's session is designed to give you a comprehensive overview of our doctoral of business administration program, as well as the doctorate of professional practices program here at UCC. So you'll get the opportunity to learn more about the structure of the programs that are offered, the admission requirements, and what to expect on this journey and the many other opportunities that are available to you here as a doctoral student. So we also want to encourage you to make this an interactive session. Feel free to ask your questions at the end of the session. We are delighted and we are here to answer all the questions that you may have for us. At UCC, we are committed to, of course, developing leaders, and not just leaders, but innovators and professionals who are equipped to make a meaningful contribution to their respective fields. So once again, I want to welcome you all, and I do hope that today's session will bring you all the clarity and information that you need to start this journey. So thank you so much for being here with us this morning. I am now going to hand over back to Miss Donna Hunter, who will be introducing our guest speakers for this morning's session. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Mrs. Buchanan Morris. Once again, good morning. Again, it's a pleasure to have you join us. And this morning promises to be a very informative. And as Mrs. Buchanan Morris shared, we want it to be very interactive. So make sure you take out your pen, pencil, wherever you are, or even phones, and take notes. So our doctoral programs are designed for experienced professionals like yourself who are on the call with us today, and leaders who are committed to making meaningful contributions to their organizations, industries, and communities. And our presenters today comes with a wealth of information as well as accolades. We have Dr. Andrea Sutherland, who is a Dean of School of Graduate Studies and Research, and she will provide an overview of our program, our culture, and the transformative learning that you will experience. She currently serves as the Dean here at UCC, but she previously served as an Associate Professor, Associate Dean, and later Dean of Research and Graduate Studies in the College of Business and Management at the University of Technology. She received her doctorate in Business Administration from Nova Southern University, her Masters of Business Administration in Marketing, and Masters of Nursing Administration from the Barry University in Florida. And her research interests include emerging economies after the financial crisis and risk management in emerging economies. She's also a member of the Chartered Financial Analysts Institute, Financial Management Association International, and also Professional Risk Managers International Association, Prima, and North American Case Research Associate, which is NACARA. Owing to her years of service in healthcare, she also serves as a member of the board of directors of the University Hospital of the West Indies, the private wing. Coming up as well, we have Professor John Fulton. You would have met him earlier when he came online with also Mrs. Sheila Fulton. John Fulton is the research director and director of the doctoral program, and he will discuss the structure of our doctoral program, research expectations, supervision process, and the academic journey towards earning your degree. He has dedicated much of his academic years to advance in research on social inequalities, health equity, and social inclusion, with particular emphasis on public health and social epidemiology in sub-Saharan Africa. And his scholarly work spans interdisciplinary research, doctoral supervision, qualitative research methodologies, and academic leadership. He has authored and co-authored numerous peer-reviewed publications and books, including work on public health and professional doctorates. So we promise to have a very informative and interactive session. Please ensure that you take notes. We will also have a presentation coming up from our program coordinator from the College of Graduate Studies and Research, Ms. Anishka Smith. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the UCC, I want to thank you for taking the time out this morning to be present with us to learn more about our doctoral programs here at the UCC. And we're looking forward to answering your questions at the end of this session. Thank you so much. Dr. Sutherland, I'm now going to turn over the floor to you to start the discussions and share information regarding the College of Graduate Studies and our program offerings to our prospective students. Dr. Sutherland?
Thank you, Ms. Hunter. Good morning, everyone, and welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to see you all here this morning. I know, as Mrs. Buchanan Morris said, whether you're here because you're really ready to go or you're just trying to figure out where you need to go, it's good to have you here this morning to get all the information that you need and to also understand that we do have the necessary support to help you, whether or not you're starting now or you would like to do so at some time in the future. So, the College of Graduate Studies and Research at the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, as the name says, we manage all the graduate programs in the university. We have master's programs as well as postgraduate diploma programs and various certifications, if you so wish. And of course, the one you're here about this morning, our doctoral programs. So, just for information, in case you know someone who's looking, we do have several master's programs. We have an MPA with many of the regular specializations: finance, marketing, accounting, human resource management. The two or three that we have that are distinct, we think, to UCC are healthcare management, disaster management, and project management. And we also will be having, coming on stream, Master of Science in Psychology. And this is really geared towards those students with undergraduate degrees in sociology who would like to become certified. We also have a Master of Science degree in cybersecurity and data privacy protection. We had our first cohort graduate yesterday, so we are very excited about that one. So those are the master's programs that we have that are indigenous to UCC. We also offer two programs through the Commonwealth of Learning, and these are our Executive MBA program and our Executive Master of Science in Public Administration. And so those two programs come to the Commonwealth of Learning. The beauty about those two programs is that you do not necessarily need to have an undergraduate degree to matriculate into those programs. It is based on your experience, and you do a prior learning assessment of your professional experience. And so those programs really do help to provide access to those persons who do not have an undergraduate degree. But if you have an undergraduate degree, then you matriculate. But the good thing about it is that it provides that avenue for those who don't have. But we also do that for our master's program, our MBA. We do have prior learning assessment matriculation, but it comes the basic is that you need to have at least an associate degree, and then we assess your professional experience and put those together and to determine whether or not you could matriculate. So those are the master's programs. And of course, the MSc in cybersecurity and data privacy protection. A lot of that has to do with your experience and your undergraduate degree in the computer sciences. Right, so the program that you're here about this morning is the doctoral program. And Professor Fulton will go more into the details of it, but just to let you know that we do have two programs. We have a DBA and we also have a doctorate in professional practice. So you're going to be asking, so what's the difference? DBA, because some persons are focused on business, and professional practice, those persons, depending, it doesn't matter what your area is, we can always do your research to focus on wherever your interest lies. And so that's really the difference between both programs. And as I said, Professor Fulton will go through the nuts and bolts. So I'm not going to get into the details of the program. So just to tell you a little bit about our office, we are a staff in the office of 5 persons, but we also have Professor Fulton and Keogh, and they are the ones who actually run the doctoral program with support, of course, from other faculty members at the university. We have Mrs. Dan Boyd. She is our administrator. We have 2 course coordinators, Ms. Smith, who is the person that you will be communicating with most of the times. And we also have Ms. Kerry and James, our the course coordinator. And our research assistant is Mrs. Sashan Dixon Wright. So that's our little family. We're located in the Knowledge Information Building, and we're on the first floor, room 105, if you should ever need to contact us in person. And I think that's it as far as, giving you a sense of the Graduate Studies Office. And we're here to support you. Anything that you need, even if we do not have the answers, we'll try and get the requisite information for you so that your journey here will be as seamless and as smooth as possible. So thank you. Do you want to take questions now?
Thank you so much, Dr. Sutherland, for sharing that information with us. We are now going to ask Professor John Fulton to address our attendees for this morning's webinar. Professor Fulton?
Yes, hello. I'm just going to share my screen because I've got some slides to show. So give me a few minutes and I'll get the slides up.
Sure. You may go ahead.
Let me know when you can see them.
Yes, we are seeing the slides now.
Well, thanks very much. And just to say, I'm very pleased to be here, and a welcome to all the people who are attending. And of course, we'll give people an opportunity to have a discussion and answer any questions. Also, just to say at the beginning that I know that quite often when I've listened to presentations, it's once I've gone home and thought about things as questions crop up. So it's absolutely no problem to email us if anybody's got any questions. And so what I'll do now is I'll tell you a bit about our program, the structure and the detail of the program. And as Dr. Sutherland said, we also offer the Doctor of Business Administration and the Doctor of Professional Practice. Now, there are differences in the business administration, clearly is about business and management, whereas professional practice is much broader and focuses on a range of other professions. But the chart component is very much similar. People enter the program, we do a taught year, and it's the same year for both Doctor of Administration and Doctor of Professional Practice. So the key features of the program are it's designed to help students apply their research to real-world problems. It's applied. So students conduct research in their own work environment, focusing on organizational issues. It's career advancement. It can lead to high-level management positions, executive leaders, and all sorts of other opportunities. And most of our ex-students, in fact, all of our ex-students, in some way, their career has been enhanced. Whether they've stayed in the same job that's given a different dimension and they've been able to do different projects, or they've moved forward to more managed senior positions, or sometimes to a very different career. It's a doctoral qualification, and people often say, how does it relate to the PhD that everybody knows about? Well, it's exactly the same qualification as a PhD. It's the same academic level, and it's equivalent to a Doctor of Philosophy or any other doctorate. So the learning outcomes of the program, and I think it's always useful to talk a bit about the learning outcomes, because that is what people will be able to do during the program. They develop these skills, and exit the program with these skills. So it's first of all, getting research skills and using them to generate new knowledge and to add to the existing body of knowledge. Act autonomously to address issues, problems in an innovative and transformative manner. So we often talk about transformational learning, and this is very much a transformational learning program. It encourages people to transform, to change themselves, and to change practice. Now, one of the other skills is to be able to communicate effectively to a range of audiences. So we're talking about cross-disciplinary, people perhaps from other professions that might not share the same language, the same jargon, interdisciplinary, professional, both in written and oral problems. Now, I'm sure, as all of you will know from professional practice, from your own professional practice, you'll be able to adjust strategies because unforeseen and challenging problems crop up all the time. Governments change, policy changes, all sorts of things change. And that is something, the skill that people need to be able to manage and adapt to. And it's very much integral to the program. Now, to do that is to be able to select a methodologically structured approach to the development of a workplace issue. So those are the outcomes. That's what people will be able to do at the end of the program. Now, structure of the program, how the program works. Well, as you can see, there's no dates of years here, but this is how we structure the program. So we hope that people will finish in 3 to 4 years. Part-time program, doctoral program, and most of our candidates, the average time, if you want, is 3 to 4 years. Now, if you look at this, the starting in October is our start date, and the grey part is the talk component. So people start with a year of talk component. And I'll tell you more about that later, about the actual structure of the talk sessions. But there's a talk part for 1 year. And the talk part is people focusing on the proposed project, developing their ideas, looking at the literature, looking at the potential methodology that they've selected, and working up and developing further their ideas. Then after that, there's a period where people will look at data analysis. They'll have an idea of their program, have an idea of the type of data they want to get, and the next 3 months are data analysis. And in the following years, people will go into what we call supervision and carry out the research. Now, the support for those sessions are that in the grey period, in the first year, there's a teaching team, which is Sheila, who is here on my left, and myself, and we will meet with students and have sessions, and we will support the students. Now, each student, after this period, will be assigned 2 supervisors, and they will work with the supervisors. There'll be various study days we'll put on for students, and as people start with a cohort, we'll keep that cohort identity going, but the work will be done with supervisors and the students on their own during that period. And then at the end of that period, people will have completed the research, they'll produce a thesis of 60,000 words, and they will then be examined by 3 examiners in what we call a viva, or the posh word is a viva voce. So they'll be examined on that thesis at the end, and they'll exit with a doctorate. So the length of the course, as I said, on average is 3 to 4 years, 1 year support followed by data analysis workshops, and remainder working with supervisors to carry out the research. People do have up to 7 years to complete, and we appreciate that people who are part-time, things can happen at work, and we don't want any undue pressure. So people have up to 7 years to complete, But as I said, the average is 4 years if everything works out well. So these are the modules, and this is talking now about the taught component. So the first module is, we call it reflective practice. And that's looking at people reflecting in their practice, reflecting in their backgrounds, looking at how the proposal fits into the workplace, looking at the type of research that they want to do. And how we organize that is, at the beginning, there are 2 study days. So people will attend for 2 days within that 3-month period. In addition to that, we have 2 group tutorials where people will be in tutorial groups and they'll come together for a 2-hour meeting twice in that 3 months. And then we'll have seminars where the whole group comes together twice in that 3 months. And there'll be an assignment. That's the first block. Second block is we look at the literature, and it's the same format. There are 2 study days where people attend for 2 days. Then there are group tutorials and seminars. There will be 2 group tutorials and 2 seminars of 2 hours each. Same format when we look at methodologies and research methods that want to do, and the same format when planning research. First block, October to December. Second block, January to March. Third block, April to June. And fourth block, July to September. So that's how it works. Now, just to go over that, again, that structure, because I know it's quite important when people are working, they want to know the time and how often they need to come. So there are 2 study days at the beginning. So there'll be 2 study days in October, 2 in January, 2 in April, and 2 in July. And people will attend for those study days. Now, when we spoke to the groups, and we've had experience of running one cohort, and that group, people liked Sunday and Monday, because most people, can attend on the Sunday, and it's a bit of an interrupted time. So we would go for a Sunday and Monday. And then the group tutorials, again, by popular demand, are early in the morning, and people prefer that, but they're only for 2 hours. So there's 2 group tutorials of 2 hours each and 2 seminars of 2 hours each. In addition, the course team, that's Sheila and myself, are available for tutorials on demand. So if people want a 1-to-1 or a 1-to-2 tutorial, we're available on demand for that. So that's the kind of broad structure of the program. Now, what people have to do are assignments. And again, everybody wants to know about that and about the work. So first of all, people will come with a research proposal. We're not looking at anything perfect, but we want an idea of what people would like to do in the area they want to research. The reason for that is because we would like to look and make sure we can give people the necessary support in forms of supervision. So that's why we want to, and it also is a basis for development. Now, sometimes people, when they go through the program, think, well, I'd really quite like to do something else. And that's okay. It's part of the first year of people to work up the proposal and determine what they want to do. Reflective practice, reflecting on your practice, deciding on the areas you want to work at, looking at your experience, looking at where your ideas come from, looking at what you would like to change. And there's a 500-word assignment. Sorry, 5,000, not 500, 5,000. Systematic review is a way of systematically looking at the literature, and we'll teach you those skills and work with you to develop them. And again, a 5,000-word assignment. Research methods are where people look at what methods they want to use, how they want to research it, what type of data they want to collect. And then they do a 5,000-word written assignment in which the student discusses a methodological approach. And then the last one is planning of the study. People will go back to the research proposal and work it up and develop it in light of their learning. Now, all of this, people won't be able to lift them and put them straight into the thesis, but it's about developing your thesis. because that's one of the things we're very keen to do, is right from the beginning, people come out of this with a strong idea of what they want to do, and then they move forward. Now, as we said, after this, students will move into supervision after the top phase. Each student will have 2 supervisors, and they're expected to meet with them at least monthly. Now, supervisors will be knowledge about the research area and will receive training and supervision. There'll be a formal review annually, and that's to make sure people are on the right track and that there's no issues at all. And it's to make sure people are progressing nicely, but also to make sure that the university are giving you what you need. And if there's anything needs can be identified then, and we can make sure you get the support you need to fulfill, your requirements and to lead to a successful conclusion. The final outcome, as I said, is a 50 to 60,000 word report, and that will be what we call defended viva voce, just call it VIVA for short. Now, these are the sort of areas we've done, or people have done. So we had Dr. Kirsha Christie, who looked at factors influencing tax avoidance. We've had Dr. Chris Jones, who looked at marketing, and he was based in England, and he looked at creative strategies of Afro-Caribbean entrepreneurs. And then we've looked, another candidate we had looked at from shareholder focus to shareholder focus, an entrepreneurial risk management paradigm shift in the banking sector. So not everyone does financing and entrepreneurship. We've also had people, from other professional areas. So at the moment, we've got one student wants to look at maths education in schools. Another wants to look at how schools cope with disabled students. We've got another who wants to look at coffee and the coffee manufacturing we want to look at coffee manufacturing in the Caribbean. And with other students who want to look at all sorts of areas, quite wide-ranging areas, with somebody who's looking at vocational education. So that gives you a flavour of the type of things that you would like to do. So before we go for any questions, I'm going to ask my colleague here, Sheila, who can fill in any points that you'd like to.
Okay, so we always ask for feedback after every study session. So every 3 months we get feedback from the students. And we've had 2 cohorts entered into the programme. And at the moment, we've had no negative feedback from any of the students. They all say that the sessions have helped them understand research more. They've all moved to a higher level of understanding from what they came in. So you can imagine when you've done undergraduate and masters, I think then you think, oh, well, that's it. I've hit the roof now, so I can do anything. But there's always another level above that. And the students are ready to run forward and carry out autonomous research. They will have supervisors. And we do have a saying, and it came from Dr. Sutherland when we had a conversation, and we leave no one behind. So if you suddenly stop answering our emails, we will come and find you, and we want you to keep on board. Yeah. The only thing we can't help you with is paying for your fees. So we can help with any other issue. So we are well experienced. I've got over 30 years experience higher education, and Professor Fulton has even more than I have. And he has supervised over 50 students, well over 50 students. I have supervised 8 students. So we know what we're talking about, and we will get you to where you want to be. And remember that a lot of students, and I'm sure you all felt the same, when you start your undergraduate, you think to yourself, am I going to be able to do this? Have I got the intelligence enough? the same when you start master's courses, and the same when you start doctoral programs. Everybody has the same fears, the same hopes are the same fears. I'm sure it doesn't matter where you live and where you come from. We're all humans and have the same fears. So if you have any questions, you ask them, because if you ask a question, I can guarantee half a dozen other people sitting in the background are frightened to ask questions, will be delighted that you've done so.
Thanks very much. So that's absolutely right. Please feel free to ask any questions. And as I said at the beginning, if you think of something after the session's finished, please don't hesitate to get in touch. We're more than happy to help. And I think that's the thing I've learned most about working on this program, which I worked on it with UCC last year. Before that, we had a partnership with the University of Sunderland, and I worked on that program. And I worked on another program for the best part of 20 years. And I must say it's been a joy and a pleasure to work with students, but we appreciate that with professional people, professional issues can get in the way, personal issues can get in the way, and we're very happy to help and be flexible with people. But as Sheila said, we can't help with finance, unfortunately. So I'll stop sharing the screen and we'll move on with the talk.
Well said, well said. Thank you so much, Professor Fulton and Sheila Fulton. Remember, Professor Fulton is our research director, as well as the director of the doctoral programs here at UCC. Thank you so much for sharing with us such valuable insights of the doctoral offerings and structure. I'm sure that our attendees were quite, pleased with the information that was given. Just a quick reminder, as was highlighted by Professor Fulton, we do have the opportunity to have one-on-one tutorial sessions with him. So do not be afraid, to call upon them once you have started the program. They are dedicated in supporting you throughout this journey. And as well, they did mention that we have a no one left behind policy. So with that being said, welcome. We want to welcome you. I know you have not applied as yet, but we're still welcoming you to this program with such an awesome team. All right. So as it relates to the questions, we will have the questions at the end of the session. So I do see some persons with their hands up. So I'm just going to ask you just to wait until we get to the end of the session. We won't have much longer before we get there. So keep your questions in mind. Awesome. All right. So I'm now going to hand over to Miss Anishka Smith, who is our program coordinator in the College of Graduate Studies and Research, just to speak to you briefly on the program requirements and expectation. Miss Smith?
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much, Mrs. Morris. All right, let me just share my screen real quick. All right, so good morning again, everyone. As our moderator just stated, my name is Aniska Smith. I am one of the program coordinators here at the College of Graduate Studies and Research. All right, so as it relates to the requirements in being accepted into the doctoral program, it is pretty simple and very straightforward. So in terms of your academic requirements, it can happen from two angles. One, if you already have a master's degree, or two, if you have a bachelor's degree, but that bachelor's degree must be a first or upper second class honors. Then in terms of English proficiency, you would need the IELTS, and I'm sure that does not really apply to most of us here on the call, but this specific one is for persons who, especially if their native language is not really English, and so we would require them to prove their English proficiency with us. There are certain documentations that you must submit. So one, you have to do an application form, preferably the application form, the digital format instead of the paper format. But if you are more comfortable, then the application of the paper format is also available. Then your personal statement is a requirement as well to complete your documentation process. And that personal statement is just basically telling us, your professional standing currently, why you're really a part of, why do you really want to pursue your doctoral studies, and just basically selling yourself in that personal statement. Then we also require you to submit a research proposal. So that research proposal is very brief. I've had persons who were stressing out about what this research proposal should entail. And it's not necessarily your research document, it's just a proposal that you are submitting with your documentation requirements. And it just outlines your topic, the aims of your research, an overview of your literature review, your methodology, and a 3 to 6 year plan that you have for your research. Then you need your 2 references, one academic, one professional, and this is a form that you would complete. And of course, your official transcripts. So if you're coming in with your bachelor's, your first class honors bachelor's, or your upper second class bachelor's, you will need that transcript for that bachelor's degree. If you're coming in with your master's, you will need your master's official transcript. And this must be sent directly to the registry at UCC admissions at ucc.edu.gm. I'll just drop that in the chat, as well as you need your notarized passport, birth certificate. If you are married, that also needs to be notarized as well. And this is important, ladies and gentlemen, because at the end of your program, when you're ready to walk across that stage, beforehand, the registry will email you and ask that these things be notarized if it is not notarized from the get-go. And then after you submit all your documentations and all is well there, then you will be invited to an interview. Now, the interview is also set up by myself as well as in liaison with the professors as well as the dean. Now, I will call you and find out your preferred meetup time. I'll give you some parameters to choose from, and then from there we will set up that interview. And that interview is really not anything to be nervous about. I've had persons where I'm setting up interview, they're a little bit nervous even before just me talking to them on the phone. But it's really getting to know you, talking about your research proposal. That is why that part of your documentation is important, as well as your, character enabling to handle the program and how to, just handle how to finish off well at the end, because at the end you need that degree in your hand. No, for your academic progression into the program, you must pass all four support courses that was previously mentioned by Professor Fulton. And the courses are really pass or fail. So If you do your assignment and you're not successful, you're required to redo, and we're not going to stop until you achieve that pass, in your assessment. So it's really geared for you to ensure that once you have that tenacity and you're able to display what you need to display, there's no need to worry. Your aim is to just pass. So you're not going to get a grade on Orion. You're not going to see a 70%, 80%. It will be denoted as pass for you. And you must complete these support courses in order for you at the end to defend your research proposal, not the dissertation, your research proposal at the end of year 1. No, academic integrity, this is standard and it is no different from how it is operated at the master's level or even at the BSc level. So we use APA format, the 7th edition so far for all our papers. There is zero tolerance for plagiarism, right? The use of AI is only permitted and authorized by our professors and documented in our course outlines and a syllabus. So please, if it is that you're going to use the AI to help you draft up anything, there must be some academic integrity present. All right. Now I'm just going to touch briefly on this. So the doctoral program, total tuition is 30,000 US and it is payable at a quarterly basis over 16 quarters. So that means every 3 months you will pay 1875 USD. Now, while we say quarterly basis, you can also pay monthly leading up to the quarter. It is similar, the payment plan is similar to what you are aware of or used to from the master's level. So it's basically the same. It's just it has a longer time span, which spans over a 4-year period. And then the same rules apply with the non-refundable deposit of 250 USD, which goes towards your tuition payment. And of course, you are required to pay a miscellaneous fee of $20,000 per year while you're in the program. There is a finance charge on your overdue payments as well. So if you do not meet the payment plan given to you by the Student Financial Services, then that's a 7% charge will be applicable to you. All right. And then when all of that is done, you are registered on the system, on Orion, on Moodle. Now, Orion and Moodle is our main technology that we use. So the Orion is where you register, and in Moodle, that's where you access your notes, the recordings, and so on. So for like this session that we're having now, this recording I will make available to you also on the Moodle page if you do decide to take UCC up on the offer of completing your either DBA or DPP. And of course, you'll get it in your email as well. But I'll make sure it be on the Moodle page for you all to access at any time. Now we're going to talk about the standard, which is the student expectations and our regulations. And it is pretty simple. As students, a part of the DBA and DPP program, it is your responsibility to ensure that your academic and your research responsibility is up to par. So if you are not aware of what to do, you can always reach out to me or the professors to give you guidance, to give you answer any questions that you may have. As Professor Fulton kept on reiterating, you can email at any time. Students, you have your administrative responsibilities, where that includes getting registered when you're supposed to be registered. If you're having any issues, please reach out to me. The way how I handle things with the doctoral program, I don't necessarily encourage students to go through SFS. They can just reach out to me and I liaise with SFS, because SFS is really the mitochondria of UCC. So they deal with a lot of students, and sometimes it's quite difficult to get through to them directly. So I can be your liaison officer where that is concerned, but you must do your part administratively as well. Then, of course, your professional conduct and development is very integral into this program. So the classes that are being held previously in the presentation done by Professor Fulton, he spoke about 4 taught courses that's going to be done in 1 year, and that for each course, you have 2 days study session, early morning classes. The expectation is that you log in on time early, 7 a.m. Class starts at 7 a.m. Please log in on time so we can start on time and end at 9 o'clock, and we go about our merry way afterwards. It's the same thing with the full day study session that Professor Fulton had mentioned earlier. That happens currently with students on a Sunday and Monday. It's a full day. So what we do is we publish the timetable for these courses so that you can prepare, at least, have one day off, prepare for that day off in advance, and, show up. The classes start at 9 o'clock in the morning for the full day study session and ends at 4 o'clock, sometimes a little earlier. But it usually runs for the standard time between 9 a.m. and 4 a.m. So your responsibility as professionals to just be on time. If not, please say something to me so that I can relate to the professors. Also, of course, self-management is important, where again, it boils back down to, if you're not able to make it, say something, managing your time as it relates to the courses. Do not get complacent, because the program is laid out in terms. So it's not like what you're used to at the master's program, where it's 5 weeks per course. One course run for a whole term. So don't feel as if when you are in the course that you have time to spare. It's gonna feel like that at some point, but don't get distracted where that timeline is concerned. The term is really for you to make any adjustments and ensure you put whatever you need to put in to complete the assignments as well. And I mean, that is it for me. The sessions are, while we expect you to be at the study session from 9 to 4, which is 2 days out of the whole entire term, you are given breakfast. We welcome you with breakfast and lunch if necessary. So you don't have to worry about that. You're spending your full day with us, and we will take very good care of you. We're hospitable. And so that is the standard for us. And that is it from me.
Thank you so much, Ms. Smith. I'm going to now allow you to continue on into our Q&A session. So the floor is now open to take any questions, queries, comments that you may have.
Good chat.
All right, so feel free to ask questions. This is our
Hi.
time.
Hi,
Mhm.
good morning, everyone. This is Rochelle Duncan. First of all, I would say I'm appreciative of this webinar. I've applied, but I didn't know this was happening today. It's by chance I checked the channel in the WhatsApp. Was an email sent that I missed? Because I know I checked my mail this morning. That's my first question. If Miss Smith or Claudia can respond to it quickly.
Yes, Miss Duncan, I do apologize for that. An email was sent out to all applicants and prospective students. So I do apologize if you probably were overlooked or didn't get the link. But thank you to my other graduate recruiter, Miss Hart, who decided to share it in the WhatsApp group, and that's something that we always do, just in case someone may have overlooked the email.
Okay, great. That's good. Thank you for responding. The thing is this like an orientation, or will there be an orientation when we begin?
There's
If
going
we're
to be
accepted.
yes, there's going to be an orientation.
Oh, all right then. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Because there will be an orientation, Ms. Duncan, and you'll get a lot more information, and also a lot of other departments will be on that call, and so you'll be able to ask a lot more questions to specific members of specific departments.
Thank you, Dr. Sutherland.
All right. If I may be acknowledged, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mr. Johnson.
Hi, Dr. Sutherland. How are you doing?
I am good, sir. How are you?
I'm good. We meet again.
Yes.
All right. Well, first, I must say thank you for the information. I think the information was presented well. I was in and out of office for a few, so pardon the questions I'm about to ask. They may have been already answered. But before I ask questions, I'm going to make a suggestion. Whenever we're having these webinars, there are individuals who may have questions that just come to their mind and possibly slip them at some point in time. So I'd ask that the chat be open for that. So at least we're able to document a few of those. So at the end of the session, you probably can respond to those if indeed if they're not necessarily answered at that point in time. We didn't have that opportunity this time. So that's why I'd raised my hand originally. That's the first thing. So that's a suggestion. The second question, or the question I have, would have been for the first presenter. I missed his name. He had indicated he was running through the courses that we would do, but I wasn't entirely clear on, well, I had to step out. So the first set of courses that we're supposed to, I think they're the 4 taught courses. I wasn't 100% clear on the format of those courses. It's a case where those would have been sitting down, running through webinars, and then we have an exam, or is it a case where we're supposed to do projects or something? I just wanted to have an idea of how that part of the process works, because I understand the rest of it is research, but I don't necessarily understand how that part worked, and I wasn't in here for that.
Right. Well,
Professor Fulton, yes.
Yes, which is to say that the first year is what we call taught, so it's structured, and the idea that with the taught component is to prepare people to do the thesis. So it's to get their ideas sharpened up and give them the support, both in terms of skill and knowledge. Now, it's in 4 blocks of 3 months. So there's 4 blocks of 3 months, starting in October. And how we structure it is that there are 2 days which are taught at the beginning of that block. So each block has 2 taught days from 9 to 4. That's all within the block. So 2 taught days of 9 to 4. And they're on the first Sunday and Monday. Now, we'll give you all these dates before you start. We've got them worked out for the year. And then followed up with that is we have 2 tutorials, group tutorials. Students will be divided into groups, and there's tutorials for those groups. And then there's 2 seminars for all of the groups. There'll only be 2 hours and throughout that period. And we also have individual tutorials. So at any point, people can arrange a one-to-one tutorial if they want to talk about anything, if there's something they don't understand or whatever. First block of 3 months is looking at reflective practice, getting people to reflect on their practice, looking at the ideas they have, how those shaped up. Second one is focusing in the literature. And then the third one is looking more specifically at the methodologies, the research methodologies, how they're going to collect data, what research they're going to do. And the last one is firming up the proposal and looking at project management. And each block follows that format of 2 taught days, 2 group tutorials of 2 hours, 2 seminars of 2 hours, and individual tutorials. So is that okay? Is that a good, anything, is that okay?
All right, thank you, sir, for the comprehensive summary of the programs. Thank you.
He had asked about exams. There are no exams. And even though the courses are pass-fail, it doesn't mean that you get one assignment and you fail a course. It's a feedback process. You're given assignments, you submit, you're given feedback, you do your corrections, because the goal is really to get you to the point where you're ready to do your research.
Lovely. One final question. I note that there was a point touched earlier about the use of AI and its applicability in research. I am assuming there is some, I haven't seen the handbook. Mind you, I haven't even yet applied, so bear with me. But
There will be a Mr. Johnson.
I haven't yet applied.
I know.
I just saw the thing online and I clicked and here I am. So I'm a part of the webinar. I
Okay.
intend to apply though.
Okay,
So
great.
so the thing about it is the use of AI and where we are now. Based on what my understanding is, AI is pretty fluid at this point in time, and it changes next to every millisecond. So there might be a need to adjust whatever policy you have by the time we even start. But that said, the extent to which AI is used, I know it is clear based on the directive that comes from the supervisor or the professor. Is there any documentation that can be possibly reviewed prior to even engaging the course, or is there anything available to my for me?
But
Okay,
we're
if I could.
actually,
Oh, no, go for it, Dr. Sullivan.
We're actually reviewing the policy, the university, because as you're saying, things are changing so rapidly. So the policy is actually under review just to make sure that, we keep abreast of what is happening. Go ahead, please, Sheila.
If I can just add to that, we're at doctoral level. So doctoral level differs from master's level. When you're in master's level, you're looking at knowledge and you're looking at using knowledge to a high degree of work. When you're at doctoral level, you're looking at new knowledge. So AI does not create new knowledge. It looks at knowledge that's out there already. So when we are dealing with students and we're looking at judging students' level of knowledge, that is what we keep in mind. Not that they could go and find knowledge on the web, but can they look at that knowledge, be critical about it, and take it to another level? Does that help?
Yeah.
That actually answers my question. Fully answers it actually.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Johnson. Thank you, Professor Fulton and Dr. Solonan, for assisting. I have a question here. Go ahead, Ms. Rose.
Yes, good day. My name is Stacy Rose. I'm familiar with UCC, but I saw your doctoral program and it piqued my interest. With respect to the accreditation of this program and recognition, could you say who accredits and who is it recognized by, and can it be taken globally? That's my first question.
Okay, so UCC has the university is accredited by the UCJ, so all our programs are accredited. Now, when you have a new program, you have to have a cohort graduate before the university council will because we don't have program accreditation. So we have just finished an audit, an evaluation. We're just now waiting the report. But safe to say the university is accredited. So all our programs are under that umbrella by UCJ accreditation.
Okay, but you said
something else to that question. Sorry, I said what? Sorry. Well, you're muted if you're speaking, Ms. Rose.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you said that they will do an evaluation of this program now, UCJ?
No, the university just
Uh-huh.
went through an accreditation process. We're just now waiting the report. But I'm saying,
Okay.
safe to say, we are accredited by the University Council of Jamaica.
Okay. And in terms of the recognition of this DBA?
I think once your degree is from an accredited institution, then it is usually recognized worldwide. And UCJ's accreditation is recognized many places. So
Globally.
that covers that.
Can we just add to that? The doctoral level is at university level 8. So Professor Fulton and myself have taught at university level 8 for over 30 years, probably 50 years between us. And we know globally what the situation is. We've taught students from all over the world, and our resulting students have gone all over the world. So we don't have any concerns or worry on that side.
You, Doc. With respect to supervision, because pretty much a PhD our doctoral program hinges on quality of supervision, accessibility of the supervisor, and the frequency of meetings. I myself had to drop out of one because the supervision was lacking, and about 8 years later, some of my colleagues are still struggling at the same university with a lack of supervision. It's unfortunate. Yeah, no, it's horrible. So, what is if the supervisor is not performing, what is what is the complaint mechanism? How do we get redress? Because this is not like UE where you're paying where the government is putting most of your school fee for a doctoral program. This is you paying out of your pocket pretty much the economic costs or near economic costs of this program. What is the redress if a supervisor is not performing?
Well, thanks very much for that question. It's a very good question, and I fully am on board with your concerns about supervision because it's very important we get this right. So first of all, what we want to do is make sure that each team or each student has appropriate supervision. And what we mean by that is they've got somebody who's familiar with the area in which they're working and is familiar with the methodology. We give people 2 supervisors because, if people are off sick or there's any issues, there are 2 supervisors there. So you're not dependent on one person. We choose the supervisors very carefully. So, I would like to think it would be unthinkable that supervisors would let students down. Additionally, we expect students to meet with the students at least monthly. And we ask for a report of supervision to be submitted on a monthly basis. And if that report is not submitted, we would then investigate why. Now, my experience has been it's often because people are on holiday or, or off sick and there's a very good reason, but we want to know that and monitor that situation very, very carefully. And we would investigate that. And if there were problems with the supervision, well, we would, take steps to rectify that and if necessary, change the supervision. So it's something we take very seriously and we would look at each case on an individual level. Now, my experience of working on the program with UCC, that system works very well and we very rarely run into programs. I would be the program leader and, part of my role, I think, is to build up a good communication with the students. And, if there were any problems, I would, encourage people to notify me if they had any issues at all, and I would always take that very seriously. So there are a number of mechanisms where we would pick up if there were problems with supervision, and we would deal with that very carefully. We also have regular reviews of each student's progress, and quite often it's not a question of people not given supervision or supervisors disappearing. Sometimes the research can take a different direction than they thought at first. And again, we would review the supervisors if that happened. So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And yeah, I think that's a proactive approach. to supervision, actually having that kind of level of accountability with the supervisors where the students are concerned.
And to add, Stacey, that monthly report is done
Yes.
by the student in collaboration with the supervisor, so that you have an input. It's not just the supervisor submitting a report and you're not aware of what's in that report.
No, that's good to have student-focused learning. I suspect when you pay your school fees, it's different from when the government has huge subsidies. No, it's true. No, it's horrible. At public universities, that's why we're not pushing out as much doctoral persons as we ought to as a country. Now, you mentioned a research plan. It's the first I'm seeing this on a doctoral submission. Is there a template that the university provides for persons who are applying with this research plan?
There are some headings about that we would send to you of the areas we would expect. But, again, we're not expecting anything that's perfect because we appreciate there's a whole year where people will develop that program. So it's more, we would just like to know the kind of areas that people want to look at, what they would like to achieve. Some evidence have looked at the literature, some thinking that they've thought about the methodology and what approach they would like to take, and a rough idea of a plan that they've got in mind. But we will give you a pro forma to do that. And as I said, it's nothing that's too perfect. It's more as a basis for development is what we're looking for.
And I can also add to that, that if you want to actually have a meeting with us over Zoom, before you submit your proposal, that's acceptable as well.
Right.
So you saw on the slides, Professor Fulton's email address. If you send that to us with the contact email, we will respond and set up a one-to-one meeting with you to talk about your proposal.
Also, I know people hear the word interview before the and everyone panics at an interview, and at least everyone, I think, at some point in their career has a bad experience of an interview, and often that baggage gets carried with them. What we want this interview is, perhaps interview is the wrong word, it's more a two-way thing. We want to make sure you're suitable for the program, but also it gives you an opportunity to talk with us, talk about what you want to do, and find out a bit more detail about the program. So it's very much a two-way thing.
Okay, great. With respect to your resources, in terms of library online resources, what is that like at UCC?
We have extensive databases, and we also have reference librarians. So if there's anything that you need, there is an avenue for you to request it through the library. So those resources should not be a problem. And the library is online, so you don't necessarily need to come on campus to use the library.
Okay, and there are subscriptions to journals and so on that students can access.
Yes. And as I said, if there is a document that you need that's not available through any of our databases, you can always request it from the librarian. Okay.
Two more. In terms of the admission period, so I think I saw where it's on a quarterly basis. You have one for September, October. Is there one for January?
Not at this point. Is it that you want to start in January?
Or is it I'm swamped between now and the end of December? Yeah, I'm kind of swamped, so I didn't want to start a program being swamped, especially with the when you have to generate writings and so on. I'm writing about 4 other things.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a problem. What is the output for the first term?
Right. Professor Fulton, you want to speak to that? Because I don't think the output for the first term is anything that is going to be too strenuous.
No, the first term isn't. We plan to start in October, and we plan to have an intake once a year. So, but having said that, the first term isn't too strenuous. Yes, there are stuff people need to write about, but it tends to be, it's talking about their individual practice, so it's perhaps not as onerous as the next assignment would be, where it's looking at the literature. So the assignment isn't actually too onerous. Okay. And again, there's plenty of support around as well.
Okay, so it's not the literature review or the...
No.
Okay.
It's reflective practice. So it's mainly about you and looking at, what it is you want to do and all that stuff. So,
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Um,
Miss
the
Rose.
notarized ID, yeah. So the last one, sorry, I'm not familiar with the university, so I just beg your pardon.
That's okay. I will have to, as well to share with you the contact details for Professor Fulton as well, because I hear the excitement and the enthusiasm and want to know more. Excuse me. So we will also share their contact details so you can have a one-on-one discussion with him. My apologies, but go ahead with your question.
So the last one is about a notarized ID. I've never heard that one for a university. What is exactly expected by notarizing a passport that is issued by the government or a birth certificate? Could you explain?
I think if you should bring a copy, isn't that so, Mrs. Morrison? So if you have a copy,
So yes,
then the copy has to be
the
notarized.
copy has to be verified or notarized. So in the event that you can't get a JP or a lawyer to notarize the copy, then an advisor or an officer here at UCC will have to verify, considering that we do have access or have seen the original document.
Okay, that's what I'm familiar with. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Just
You
before
are
you
you almost go
Just
ahead,
before
Professor
you go,
Fulton.
it's just one thing I didn't mention was about supervision, that we have a course that all the supervisors are required to do about supervising at the doctoral level, because a lot of people are very familiar with supervising students in dissertations, but there's slight differences at the doctoral level. So everyone will be doing a course that prepares them for supervision of doctoral students.
And if I can share with you what our one of our personal objectives is to actually become a centre of excellence for supervisory training. So that's our own personal objectives.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I think you'll
All right.
accomplish your task because that's a big gap in terms of doctoral studies in Jamaica. Lack of supervision and quality supervision and supervisors and what they want to do. So you'll make a headway here. Thanks.
Good.
All right. So we have two more questions we're gonna take before we close out. Go ahead, Mr. Atkinson, and then we'll take Miss White.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I just want to say that I have actually started the process. I've applied for the DPP, and I'm excited about it. One of the reasons I'm excited about it is because UCC feels like home, and I believe that I will be given the kind of support that is required to reach that goal. Secondly, here's the question that I want to ask. The supervisors, are they drawn locally or are they drawn from the British system? The reason I'm asking that is that I'm a graduate of the University of Cumbria, and Professor Fulton's name is so familiar. And I'm curious to know if Professor Fulton was, while I was at Cumbria, if he had come to do some lectures in research and that sort of thing, because I'm almost sure that's where I've met Professor Fulton. If it is the same Professor Fulton, then prospective students and those who've already applied, you are in good hands, I can tell you that. So if you could shed some light on that, it would be great. And then wanting to know if this particular program, both the DPP and the DBA, is it in collaboration with a university from the British system, or it is just being offered by the UCC?
Well, first of all, thanks very much for that. I worked for a number of years at the other side of other side of England from Cumbria. So it was the East Coast rather than the West Coast where Cumbria is. But I did have a number of colleagues from Cumbria, and a number of my former students worked at Cumbria. So I think that's probably where you had the name. Additionally, I was the co-author of one of the standard textbooks and methodologies for professional doctorates. So possibly that's another way my name would have been known.
Okay.
So, and just to say that the program is a UCC program. It's a Jamaican program. So it's not an English program. We're not in collaboration with another English university. And we are, so it's very much a Jamaican program, but it's very much based on a lot of experience we've all had Dr. Sunderland has supervised students on a doctor professional practice. I have supervised a number, and Sheila has supervised a number as well. So it's based on a lot of our experience of running previous programs. And I would like to think that we've taken that experience and developed a lot of the stuff we've done. So we've really got a state-of-the-art program here. Although I say that myself, but based on my experience, I think we've got a great program, and it evaluated extremely well from the previous cohort. It's based more on the British model in that the focus is on the thesis and on the research. So we don't, I know what the American model is, there's a talk component where people do a number of modules. We are focusing entirely on the thesis and giving people the knowledge and skills to be able to address the thesis. That's the model we've gone for. Because I know that, I did a talk program, and it's often, they offer a module on a Wednesday afternoon, and that's the only time you can go. So you end up doing something that's not much interest. And we wanted to get away from that type of thing and allow people to focus purely on the research.
Right.
So we tried to...
One last... Okay, go ahead. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
So what I would say is that the material that you study in the support year is all totally relevant to your research and your thesis. So it all feeds directly into the thesis, although you'll have to take it to a further extent. And also, if I can say, on your supervision, what we try to do is have an internal supervisor, but who has gone through extensive training and is also ready to actually start. They may already have supervised students, but if they haven't, they are linked to someone who has supervised students, and that's what we call our visiting professors. And these are people from around the world who have got extensive experience that we bring in to support the supervisory team. And also, Professor Bolton and I will regularly meet with students to ensure that that supervision is working well. It's in our interest to make sure that this course, which is our baby, is actually perfected to the nth degree.
Okay. And one final question. Professor Fulton, you mentioned a British model. So the question is other than the APA, is the Harvard style accepted?
Referencing.
Well, it's something I never want to talk about, is referencing. And just to tell you that I'm doing a course at the moment in my own time, and it's a different system of referencing they use there. And I actually lost marks in an assignment because of my referencing. So
Yeah.
it's a touchy subject.
The APA, yeah, that's the university standard APA.
Okay. I might get into some trouble where that is concerned, but that's fine. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right.
Can I mention that AI is one of the things you can use to make sure your referencing style is accurate?
Yes. And in a Word document, you can also, and in many of the databases that you source, they can also put your reference in the APA format. So then you just have to do the citations. So they're making it easier for us.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you very much. I believe we have one last question from Ms. White.
Yes.
Thank you so much for acknowledging my question. Greetings to everyone. So I pretty much am a UCC baby. I've had my associates, my bachelor's, and my now master's from UCC. And it would be amazing to have all my degrees from that university. That being said, I just wanted to find out what is the shortest possible time known. I heard the average time, which is 3 to 4 years. What's the shortest possible time to complete a doctorate program?
Right. My experience, some places say you can do it in 2 years, but my experience would be, shortest probably would be about 3, being realistic.
3 years. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so very much. That's my question, and have a good afternoon.
Can I just Just before we finish, can I just say one thing?
Sure, go ahead,
You know,
Professor.
we've talked a lot about the practicalities, and rightly so, and about supervision and what do we do if things go wrong. And that's totally correct, because I know that people, you know, want to know these things. But what we haven't said is you'll enjoy it because you're looking at something that you are interested in, that you feel passionate about, and it's enjoyable. You know, it's unlike other courses you might do where you have to do things that, you know, a lot of you're interested in, but some stuff you might find a bit tedious. This is something you love because it's something you're interested in, you feel passionate about, and it's related to your experience. And I know when I did my doctorate, I mean, I won't give you the details, but it involved going to places and staying up till midnight. That wouldn't happen to you. It was my particular, we don't expect that to happen, but I was looking at an area where I had to go and do observation, and a lot was on in the evening. And I loved every single minute of it, you know? So it's enjoyable. And don't forget that part. It's a good opportunity to look at something in depth that you're really interested in, and it's concerned with your own professional practice.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Professor Fulton. All
Maureen,
right.
I think there are two hands still, Maureen and
All right, we
Sharon.
have less than a minute for each of those hands. Ms. Thompson, you may go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you for a very great session. Just want to find out some more as to the DPP. What exactly does that mean or involve? I've never heard of that before.
Well, first of all, it's the equivalent of the DBA, and it's a more general course. So it applies to professional practice, doing a doctorate in professional practice, where you look at practice-based research and you look at development of a professional area, whereas the DBA is much more focused on business and management. This is a much broader sort of area, but it's to do with professional practice, and it's exactly the same level as the DBA, PhD, and other doctorates.
Yeah. So, for example, in the current cohort, we have teachers, and they want to look at issues in the education system. It's not business related, but it is related to their field. So they're doing a DPP, Doctor of Professional Practice, in their field.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Dr. Sutherland. It was indeed an awesome session today, very interactive. I like the questions that were posed, and of course, I also like the answers that were given. So as we come to the end of today's webinar, I would like to, sincerely thank each of you for joining us, and a special thank you to our guest presenters, Dr. Andrea Sutherland, Professor Fulton, Ms. Sheila Fulton, and Ms. Anishka for sharing with us, the knowledge, experience, and all the valuable insights and information that were presented today. We truly appreciate your time and your commitment to helping our prospective students, better understand what our doctoral program offers. So just to recap a bit, our next intake is scheduled to begin in October. So if you have not yet completed your application, the application form can be accessed online, as well as our contact details were shared in the chat. So please grab a hold of it if you have any questions or if you want to speak with us further, which would be myself, Mrs. Claudia Buchanan Morris, and Miss Ashley Hart, who are the graduate recruitment advisors here at UCC. So take those information, and if you wish to speak further with us, we're here to guide you throughout the process. This recording this webinar is also being recorded. So if you want to, rewatch it, then we'll make it available to you, as well as it will be shared on our YouTube channel. That's UCC Jamaica channel. All right.
Sorry. When you're finished, I'd just like to say something.
Yes, certainly. All right. You may go ahead, Dr. Sutherland.
No, just to reassure our prospective students, and especially coming out of I can't remember her last name, Stacy's question, about support, be assured that this program, that is one of the major differences. You will be getting a lot of support. That is what we're here for. We understand the anxiety about support and supervision, and so we have designed our program in such a way that you will get all the support that you need. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sutherland. We also want to encourage you to, embrace the responsibilities that comes with the doctoral studies, maintaining your academic excellence, as was mentioned by Miss Smith, as well as demonstrating professionalism throughout and practicing effective self-management. Before we close, Dr. Fulton, any closing remarks for our attendees this morning?
Well, just to say, to everyone, thank you so much for coming along. Put my email address in the chat, and if people have any questions or any queries, I'll touch on them later. Please feel free to get in touch, or if you want to arrange a meeting, it's absolutely delighted to do so. So, welcome everyone, and I hope you all will come along and do the program.
Thank you so much, Professor Fulton. Well, there you have it. Just to leave this thought with you this afternoon, the future belongs to those who never stop learning, right? A doctoral degree is not just a degree, it's a commitment to creating knowledge, inspiring change and leaving a lasting impact. So thank you once again for your participation, and we look forward to having you here at UCC. Thank you so much. Have yourself a great afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.